Hello, Janis here from Gus the Bus. I thought I'd just say that if any of you have joined this channel because of the travel aspect of our channel and are finding the lack of traveling a little frustrating, please bear with us. We will be setting off on a new adventure, probably in a couple of months' time. We are a little bit grounded at the moment. My dad, who is very elderly, is quite unwell. We are having to hang around here because he's still in hospital at the moment and will be coming out hopefully this next week. And we need to see what he's going to need and what role we need to play in that scenario before we can head off to the sunset again. So please bear with us. It isn't an easy situation, but family obviously has to be taken care of, and that's what's happening at the moment. But here I am still in Gus the Bus, pretending that I'm going on a grand adventure. The bus is in London and near the Twickenham area, sort of Isleworth, Richmond. So I'm here and I'm able to see clients here, and that's great. So the bus is still a big part of what we're doing, and it's lovely to be here, and it's lovely that the sun is shining, so all good. This week's video I thought I would make about the topic of tarot and shadow work. So for those of you who aren't familiar with shadow work, it's where we are looking at the parts of ourselves that we would normally keep hidden. Now, why this is important is because a lot of the time when people are coming for tarot readings, they're feeling confused or fearful or stuck, or they don't know what's going on, or they can't find a way forward. And so what they're hoping is, and what hopefully tarot does, is to shine a light on the route and what they can best do, and obviously what they can expect if they walk down this path anymore. So tarot can really shine a light into what we can't see in our everyday life, and it can also shine a light onto what we can't see that's stopping us and blocking us and making life more difficult for us than it perhaps otherwise might be. So when we use tarot for shadow work, it's really useful because it helps us get out of our own way. Now, often we're not very enthusiastic about the idea of doing that because we keep that stuff hidden for a reason. It's the parts of ourselves that we don't like, or we don't feel comfortable with, or we don't think anyone else should see. So often we can be a little bit, I don't know, even ashamed of those parts of ourselves. Now that's a shame because we all share the same fear, guys. We all share the same, whatever it is. We are all a lot more similar than we feel we are. And another part of the shadow aspect of our lives can be ancestral shadow work. Now, this is a really interesting area, and I thought that I'd look at that today because this last week I did a very interesting reading with my practice group. We get together and we practice different readings, and we did a really interesting reading about connecting with an ancestor and looking at what might be in play from an ancestral perspective, which is affecting us today. Because whether it's our parents learned stuff, or stuff that we've inherited, or our grandparents, or our great-grandparents, or even our great-great-grandparents, stuff comes down the line to us that we may not even be aware of. Either it's a learned trait, or it's a trait that's come into our actual DNA. There was a really interesting study done on what was it? It was the Dutch famine birth cohort. You can look it up. It's very interesting, where they looked at the DNA of the descendants of a Dutch famine, I think in the 1940s, and they looked at how you could see the effects of that physical trauma still in action in more modern day current physiology. So I'm going to presume that it's because everything is energy, right? So it's not just going to be physical, it's probably going to be psychological as well. So when these traumas leave a marker on our DNA, that gets passed down the line, but it can be healed and transmuted. And I think part of our job, if we're going to work in the field of energy, or we're going to be interested in energy or our own spirituality, our lives, making our life as good as it can be, right? We would do well to be interested in all the things that are in play for us. So I thought I would do a bit of a demo reading, which gives an example of how this would work. And if you would like me to do one for you, please do let me know, and I'll talk to you about that and how that might work. This is a very simple version. This is just 7 questions, and I'll give you an example of my version. I'll do one for me. Nothing to hide here, so you can see what the answers are. First thing to do if you're going to try this for yourself, if you read tarot and you want to try this for yourself, obviously shuffle and tune in and state your intention clearly. It's really important. So I want to connect with somebody from my ancestral past who is taking a positive interest in me and my well-being and my future. So we've got 7 questions that we're going to ask, and let's have a look and let's read it as we go through. So our first question is, how can I identify you and your relationship to me? How can I identify you and your relationship to me? The card that I've drawn is the 4 of Wands. So the 4 of Wands, it's where an energy has sort of got stabilized and where we're quite happy with that stabilization, but it's sort of planted. So the idea of security, the idea of reaching a place where we feel safe, where we feel happy, is really important. If I think back, how does that influence, or what does that say about my ancestral past? Well, I know from my own ancestral story that security was a huge deal. So my ancestors all came from the East End of London. My dad once did a family tree dating his side of the family back to Shoreditch in 1730 something. And I know that my mother's side of the family also comes from the same area. So we're very rooted in the old East End. And obviously Shoreditch would have been outside London at that point. It was sort of almost like a village outside, but not exactly what you call an affluent area. And security would have been extremely important for them. And I know from the stories going back to my great-grandparents that on both sides there were problems with poverty, especially on my mother's side and also on my father's side as well. There were problems with poverty on both sides and a lack of security. Now there's one thing that stands out though, because the 4 of Wands often comes up as, if we look at the card, we can see it's a bell tent. So what we have is we have a place to stay, and we have a point of stabilization that we're happy with. So who would I know who was happy with a point of stabilization that found a place and they were happy and they could celebrate? My grandfather won the pools and bought a house, and that was huge. He won the pools and bought a house, and he and my grandmother, they had a difficult time in the war. Their street was bombed. The flat that they were living in, which was above a laundry, where I think, if I'm right, I think it was my grandmother's mother worked, and it was bombed, and they lost everything. And then they were walking the streets, and everybody said, go to the school, that's where everybody's gathering. And they didn't go to the school. My grandma, my nana, said, no, I don't want to, I just need to, can we just walk for a while, because they were in shock. And then the school was bombed, and everybody that went to the school was also killed. And it was only because my nana had said, I don't want to go to the school. So you can imagine how the trauma that would have caused. It was awful. And then later on down the line, my grandfather won the pools and they bought a house. And this is amazing to them. Amazing. I think that's him, because that makes perfect sense. It doesn't fit with any other ancestral stories that I know. So I'm going to presume I'm talking at this moment to my paternal grandfather. So lovely. So what advice then, Grandad, do you want to give me and share with me about my life? So he's given me the Knight of Wands. So what he's telling me is that the energies in my life need to be sustainable. Perhaps as a person who's, even though I'm a Pisces, I have a lot of fire energy in my shadow, that tends to be a big rush of energy, which can then maybe burn out. And perhaps I need to make sure that energy is sustainable. I need to make sure that I can keep that going. So that's really interesting. Okay, so what family trauma is negatively affecting my DNA? And this makes such perfect sense. The Nine of Swords. Now the Nine of Swords is the nightmare card, isn't it? It's the card where we're scared of the worst case scenario. And there is something about that fear which is apparently in my DNA. And there is something about the fear around, I would say, because he's given me that card, probably fear around security, fear around stability and where to live. If anybody knows me who's watching this, you will know that I'm very bound to London in a kind of quite an odd way. I'm the first child in the entire, both sides of the family, that was born outside of London. I was born in Kent because my parents moved out. And I have had insecurity in my life around where we live. As a child, we moved constantly. I think 7 or 8 times we've moved. I went to 7 or 8 schools. It was a lot. We moved a lot. The idea of being stable is a big deal for me. So that fear of not being stable has been handed down generationally and is part of my DNA. That's really interesting and something that I need to look at. So the next question is, how can I heal this and stop it affecting future generations? And the card that I've been given here is the Three of Swords. Deal with the pain, go into the pain. Now this is where we get into the idea of shadow work. Go into the pain. Don't shy away from it. Go into that worst case scenario and look at the reality of it. Look at what's real and what's not. And really deal with what pain is triggering that fear. It's really strong stuff, this, guys. Okay, that's really interesting. What positive gifts have I been handed down from my ancestral family? What positive gifts have I been handed down? And I've been given the Eight of Pentacles. Now that's really lovely. So the Eight of Pentacles is making it better. Perseverance. Perseverance. I have the gift of perseverance. I have the gift to be able to make it better. Now that says to me that I have the power to make it better. By perseverance, I can do this and I can learn. I think it's telling me I can learn to master it. And through that perseverance and through that mastery, so we grow. That's what the Eight of Pentacles tells us. We can make it better. We've got a potter here. I can create something better by perseverance and by learning. That's good. I'm happy for that. And that means that I have the power to be able to move this forward. Perfect. So how can I use those gifts to honor both the past and the future? We have wisdom. And that's perfect, isn't it? That is the perfect segue from the Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles is where we're learning and we're persevering and we're carrying on, and we're making it better. And wisdom tells us that we can start again with the benefit of experience. So wisdom in more traditional decks is termed judgment, and it's not about being judged, it's about having good judgment. Now look back at that Nine of Swords and the Three of Swords. So we're going to look at that fear, we're going to look at that pain, and we're going to learn about the effects of it, and then we're going to persevere, and we're going to persevere learning as we go. And then as we step into this judgment card, we get the chance to begin again, to almost wipe the slate clean. When we look at the traditional card, we can see it's like being born again. So it's telling me that I have the gift of being able to transmute this, which is great. I have the ability to be able to wipe the slate clean and start again. Okay, so what action, this is the next question, what action should I take now to make my future the best it can be? The Wheel of Fortune. Well, that's fantastic. That's completely coherent with the rest of the reading, because what it's saying is the Wheel of Fortune is a turn of fate. You can change. Now, the Wheel of Fortune does tell you that you can't control what's going on around you. There's no way you can do that. So things will change around you, but what you do within that change makes a difference. So what action can I take? I can change my responses to the changes that are going on around me, and that will change my path, that will change our DNA, that will change the future. The Wheel of Fortune is almost like it recalibrates things, so things are being recalibrated. It's a point where things are not fixed, everything is in flux. Things are moving and changing around you, and so you therefore, with your response to that, can change your path, because it isn't fixed. And I can take action knowing that it's not fixed, knowing that what I do makes a difference. So that's fascinating, I think. I hope you've enjoyed that little spread. We found it very interesting when we did it as part of the group. As I say, if you would like me to do that reading for you, do give me a shout and I can tell you how that works. But in the meantime, have a think about that, and have a think about how you can use tarot to look into the hidden parts of yourself, to enable you to be more effective, more proactive in your life, bolder, braver, more empowered, more creative, because tarot can help us with all of that, and it's awesome. So thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, please do like and subscribe. So I'm going live at the moment on YouTube on a Tuesday, so I take one card readings for people, and I will answer questions with one card readings. I would talk you through the card as well, and why I'm coming to the conclusions I'm coming to. And you can ask me questions about tarot as well if you would like to. In the meantime, I'll say goodbye. I hope to see you soon. I hope you find these videos interesting. Send me a comment, let me know how you feel. I will see you soon. Bye bye for now. Hello, thank you for watching our video. If you're interested in the world of tarot and would like to explore further, and would like to know how to bring tarot to life so that it makes sense in the real world, I'd like to invite you to explore the Tarot Tribe. The Tarot Tribe is my personal membership, and inside you'll find a community of tarot students just like you, lots of bite-sized mini courses, a new one every month, and new spreads, demo videos, a clinic with me every month, and also discounts on readings with me once a quarter. So if you'd like to explore that, I would love to see you on the inside. Here's the link. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye for now.